Good afternoon. Thank you guys for coming to our Centennial Legacy, first in a series of Lunch and Learns. I just want to say happy birthday to ABC. We are celebrating our 100 years in existence, and so we are celebrating that, and we are looking to have activities and other lunch and learns and other things from academic and student affairs to help celebrate this most auspicious occasion of 100 years in existence. And so today, our own ABC faculty will be presenting Liberation in Technology. And so we're excited that they have branched off into this area, into this digital world, and we want to just hear and learn what they have for us as we move forward, thriving in our American Baptist College space. And so I will turn it over to our faculty.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Or afternoon, right? There we go. Afternoon. Welcome to Lunch and Learn. We're excited. Thank you. We're grateful for the opportunity to present kind of what we've been working on and still working on. It is a work in progress. And so for those who are not aware, now let me scoot this over so we get a full kind of view of the screen. Sorry. Let me also say Ms. White, who is our co-presenter, is under the weather. And I can't get that view. I don't see that. I don't know how to get that off. Sorry. Uh-oh. What happened? Okay. Yeah, because it's still showing on mine. I don't know. All right. Hold on. Let's try this again. Password. I guess it'll go off periodically. 5277. Well, I'll still talk while we kind of wait for this to pop up. Ms. White is under the weather, and so myself and Dr. Chandler Harrison, we're going to try and do her part of the presentation, but this was a group presentation, and so you'll see when it gets a little choppy, we're trying to fill in a little bit the best we can for the incredible work that she did, but we were fortunate to be able to present. I think I got it. Okay. Fortunate enough to be able to present our findings in this at the National Organization of Student Success this past week at the 48th conference, their 48th annual conference. So we were grateful to be able to present this. And I will say, not to toot our own horns, but one of the board members came up and invited us to come and share on next year. So I think we did a pretty good job. We represented ABC pretty well. So we want to talk about LIT. LIT is Liberation in Technology. And so our presentation is on creating a technology-driven social justice initiative. And there's a few changes we've made just due to the audience. We don't have to explain ABC to everyone. So that is always wonderful. All right. Give it a second, please. Okay. All right. Whew. So, that's our agenda. We'll talk about who we are, student success, how technology bridges that gap, and career preparation. So, of course, we always know, as we've been told by our chief of staff, that anything we do should include the mission of American Baptist College. So the mission of American Baptist College is historically black college with a liberal arts emphasis is to educate, graduate, and prepare diverse students for Christian leadership, service, and social justice in the world. 100 years still strong. And so what we found out is that there are, ABC is drenched and steeped in justice work from its inception being started between two different denominations, the Southern Baptist and and the National Baptist Convention to educate Black practitioners. And so it has done justice work all throughout its existence. We know our rich history. I don't have to go into C.T. Vivian and John Lewis and all those change agents who have come through ABC. But we know that justice work, our justice and the work that we do, changes with times. Those change agents did wonderful in the sit-ins because we needed equitable service and accommodations. But now we are able to go into the stores, thankfully, because of their work. We're able to be educated in the same spaces, but there are different ways where we see justice or the lack of justice in our world. And one of those ways is through tech. COVID exposed a lot of that. And we can look at American Baptist College now. I was not here during COVID, but I was told that even when most schools, the pivot to send their students home, it took about a week and a half. It took ABC a little bit longer because some of our students didn't have laptops to go home with, or internet access in their homes, or even the ability to have a home to go to. And so that in itself lets us know that there are some technology inequities. And so there are also what we know about the neighborhood we live in, or that the school is housed in, that we are not only in a food desert, but also a tech desert. Okay, and a tech desert is a pocket where there's inequality when there's access to internet and devices. And so we looked up some data, and from this we see that the largest number that we live in, we are located in 37207, which is one of the largest zip codes with the number of residents without access to the internet by device, so that's computer or tablet, phone or at home. What a scary thought of not being able to use your devices or not having the access to an internet. Like, you can think of some of the things, like, let's just softball it. I don't want to do all the talking, me or Dr. T. Let's softball it here. What are some things we need internet access for in your house? Everybody got Alexa, Siri, right? You tell Alexa, Siri, play this, tell me the weather, right? You need internet access for that. Can you imagine if Siri couldn't tell you the weather? Right? Music, right? Streaming music. What else do we have in our houses? Thermostat. Oh yeah, Nest. Ring cameras, right? Everybody got to check.
Even the news. So many people have cut cable that a lot of folks don't even have televisions to watch their weather alerts.
Correct. So the thing about not having news, right? We know we live in an area where we have tornadoes pop up any time of the year, it seems like now, right? So you wouldn't even know to get to safety in time. You think about security systems are now on internet. So now not even being able to have the most up-to-date system to protect your house, your family, your belongings. So all of these things are happening, or the lack thereof, in this area. Okay? And so we wanted to think about, how do we address this? This is a new age justice issue. And just like we were on the front lines of fighting justice issues in the 60s and the 70s, we want to be on the front lines fighting this issue now. And it's something that is, again, in our front door. So let me ask you all one quick question.
Before you go, may I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, it just hit me, and that's very important. I didn't think about it. My mom has to do her heart thing.
Absolutely.
And it has to be by internet. So if she doesn't have it, then they can't really record how our heart is beating.
Yeah.
So that's very critical.
Yes.
Medical area.
Absolutely. And even some phones now, right? VOP, is that VOP phones? They're not just line lands, now they're ran off of the internet. So there are so many things that we take for granted that we need internet for, and that there are people in the community that we're situated in who don't have access to that. And certainly medical treatment is important. I mean, your heart.
Emergency alerts as well.
Yes, emergency alerts. And so we wanted to kind of address, or see how we can address that, right? Because we believe in not only advocacy, but social responsibility as well, right? That's part of advocacy. And so just a quick second, let me ask you this. What do you think, well, here's this. Let's talk about justice work. Justice work when it comes to technology. What do you think? That's a whole lot of words, right? school, we gotta, put a lot of words and stuff. We're scholars, budding scholars. But what do you think is a way to, or what does digital justice look like to you? Access, right? Because when we think about this, we have to reimagine what justice looks like. And that's part of this technology piece, reimagining. So what does justice, technology, or or justice look like in this sense of technology? So access, having access. What kind of access though, right? Because
Actually having the devices that connect.
Connectivity, devices, because you think about it, remember when they used to send those AOL CDs?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't need that. That's not going to get you far right now in 2024, right? So it's got to be access and connectivity, but it's got to be in a certain way, right? Yeah. And so what are some other ways we can think of this justice work, or you would think would give us digital justice?
The cost of it.
The cost of it, yeah, right? Because it does no good if it's in your area, but you can't afford it. And we all know we just made a case for why we need it, so the cost is important. Any other thoughts about how we do this justice work, this digital justice work? Or what would help to make it digitally just? Education. Yes. How to use it. Yes. Yes. Nothing's, as my brother always tells me, a smartphone in a dumb person's hand is still a smartphone in a dumb person's hand. Right? So, oh darn, I forgot we record. Never mind, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. All right. So those are just some ideas and some thoughts about this justice work. And it's imperative that when we think about justice work, we don't just think about, hey, black and white issues, or we don't just think about prison reform, and we don't just think about issues about food. And all of those are important issues. Not saying we shouldn't think about them. But there are other justice work that sometimes we overlook. And so LIT, Liberation in Technology, its idea or the thought behind it is to figure out how we as ABC, a community, can be responsible and advocate, and also have some responsibility to the community we're situated in. It's nothing worse than an institution that's situated in a community that never gives anything back to the community. That institution probably won't live long. And so our job with the LIT is to kind of think about how we bridge the gap between justice work, what is the inequalities, and the justice work. And so I'll let Dr. T do some, and then I'll come back and try and fumble through Ms. White's part of the presentation.
Thank you, Director Solomon. So as we're thinking about this justice work, one of the things that puts us ahead of the others, right, particularly in the HBCU status, is our ability to push this justice work beyond the classroom. And so one of the ways that we've reimagined addressing these issues is looking at it in a dual nature. It's not only how we're training change agents within the classroom, but it is also our impact in the community, right? And it's dual in nature that we're reaching both environments, but we're also training and equipping our students to move from the classroom into the community to address some of these disparities. And so we are excited. We're excited about this work. One of the things that we have been highlighting within our publications and even with some of the communications around campus is our securing of a grant that we've gotten with the NTIA, which is a nearly $3 million grant that's been awarded by the U.S. Department of Commerce, the National Telecommunications and Information Administration. And this has given us the capital, has given us the resources to be able to do the work beyond the classroom. And so we are excited because, as Director Harris-Tolliver has already said, we are situated in a tech desert. And so it does not do us, well, I won't say it doesn't do us, but we can push the envelope further by not only exposing these disparities, but actually putting our money where our mouth is, by actually investing in a community where our school is situated. And so we are literally in this tech desert, if you please, and we, with these funds, are able to service as a technology hub for residents within a 15-mile radius of our campus. That not only broadens our reach in the community, but it also creates partnerships for our students to do meaningful work, internships, service initiatives, etc., beyond the classroom. And so we celebrate that. Right in our backyard, we're also with our partnership with the local YMCA that is not far from us. We're using these grant dollars to partner with the Northwest YMCA to provide resources and connections to patrons, including but not limited to a tech and gaming lab and devices, where our reach, once again, is moving beyond the classroom. And we service this 15-mile radius that our campus is situated in, and we become essentially that city on a hill, right? So it's more than extending salvation. It's more than extending theology, but it is also being that light, being that hub by using and leveraging our technology resources. And so this is the beginning we envision. We are imagining these partnerships to reach beyond the Northwest YMCA with our local communities, with nonprofit organizations, to implement tech-driven solutions that directly address social issues. These partnerships will enrich students' learning experiences and foster a sense of social responsibility and empathy. As we're thinking about our touch in the classroom and in the corridors of ABC, we want to reimagine what it means for us to empower our students to do meaningful work with technology as well. And so I believe it was Malcolm X that said that education is the passport for the future, right? That is true. But here in 2024, we can push the envelope a bit further that technology is what gives us that passport for the future as well. And so if we're not engaging in technology, if we're not being progressive with technology and with access and with AI and with gaming and systems, we're behind the curve. That's just the reality. That's where we are right now. And if we don't get on board, we will fall by the wayside. And so in an era marked by rapid advancements in technology, evolving social paradigms, and a dire need for equitable practices, colleges have a unique opportunity to harness technology as a powerful tool for addressing permeating social justice issues, while also equipping students with unique skills needed for meaningful employment post-graduation. We have begun exploring these synergistic potential between these two domains. We have a strategic move to harness technology as an innovative catalyst for social justice progress. And one of the ways we're doing this is with our newly implemented Lit Lab. Within our Lit Lab that is actually housed within our library, we have a designated space on campus where we have equipped it with gaming devices. We've also equipped it with podcast station where our students can learn how to implement behind the scenes with tech to start their own podcast, which is a voice. They can use it as a voice of justice, storytelling, creating their own narratives, and engaging in righteous indignation, right? Engaging in holy hell, if you please, right? Doing the work, right? Moving beyond the classroom. And so it's not only giving them the space to do this, but it is also giving them needed skills and tools so that they can be more marketable once they graduate. Okay? And so this is not only what our Lit Lab that we are excited about, but there are also initiatives that we pushed here on the campus, such as making laptops available for our students so that they want to purchase them themselves. They can have access to laptops while they're here. Computer lab access as well, not only for our students, but for the community. And also enhancing our Wi-Fi connectivity strength all throughout the campus. All of these things are equipping our students to do more meaningful work. We've also, and I'll move, we're also have strategically incorporated specific courses within our course schedule, if you please, that bring students to the intersection of race, justice, technology, media, intersectionality, and culture. Some of these courses that dare to engage in some of these things are listed here on the screen: race, film, and society, sports and religion, hip-hop theology, and contemporary issues and theology. This is the work that we're already doing at American Baptist College that we celebrate. That is moving just beyond textbooks and reading and regurgitating information, but actually challenging our students to be critical thinkers and to reimagine what theology and what justice looks like even beyond the classroom. Oh, I got one. Also, lastly, and then Director Harris Tyler will come. We celebrate the fact that we're not only giving them skills, but we also have data as well that affirms and confirms, verifies that this work is actually going to be meaningful. So software developers, the job force will increase as the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, which has a report, by 22%, increasingly faster than any other occupation. Also, according to the National Center for Education Statistics, released in 2021, approximately 78% of college graduates in the computer science field secured employment within 6 months of graduation. And then lastly, a reputable magazine associated with the gaming field reported that the average annual salary for game developers in the U.S. was almost $90,000. So what does that mean for our students? If they get these tools, once they graduate, they can have more possibilities beyond some of the traditional ways of employment.
Thank you. And I'll start with another, just to piggyback on what Dr. T explained, that I just saw a stat that students who attend HBCUs who are part of gamers, they make more money in college than those HBCU traditional athletes are making through their NILs. And if you know anything about NILs, that has changed the game. Now our athletes essentially can be paid. And these gamers, through gamification, are making more money now than those players who play football, basketball, and HBCU. So that is absolutely something, and we talk about our students some students being not able to afford college. Well, here's a way, a means to afford this, right? Without having to go out and get a lot of equipment or be blessed to be tall like Shaq or Juju Watkins from LSU or what have you. And yourself.
Thank you.
Yes. So, but there are different means, and I think that is what technology is helping us to discover and develop, different means for our students and for students all over the world to compete at a different level that they might not have been able to before. I do want to caution and say that what we're finding out now is that through AI and other technology-generated things, we find out that there is bias in these. And so that's another lens we have to work on with our justice, is about the bias that it creates. Because we're not, black people aren't usually the developers or on the front end of developing these technologies. And so there becomes this bias, just like, you know, when you took standardized testing and they say to the little kids, Susie's mom puts on a gown. Well, depending on where you come from, a gown might be what you wear to a ball, or it might be what grandma puts on to go to bed, right? And so depending on your context, well, that's the same kind of, and similarly, there are biases within the programming, and it doesn't account for cultural biases. It doesn't account for also, I want to lean into our LGBTQIA community, where people are able to self-identify. It doesn't account for that as well. So, you know, there are biases, and there's still work that has to be done. So I don't want to skip over that and act like it's just this utopia. There's problems there too, okay? But here's what it can help us do with our career development, because we know students come to college, yes, they want to get away from home, but they also want to come so that they can have a job so they can stay away from home and have a career, right? And so what technology helps us in areas of competency, purposeful partnerships, and personal branding. Talk a little bit about the competencies. It helps us get these soft skills. Okay, using AI to create project-based field education internships. So right now we have a student who is working on her internship in our Career Development Center. We've used the internet, not the internet, Jesus. We've used IA. She's working with IA to create her field education project, right? She's used that to design it and to sustain or to design this program of how to build a clothing closet for us on campus, for our students, and how to sustain it. This is her project, using AI. So it gives us another way of doing actual work, right? And it also shows our students how to prompt it. It's more than just putting in, write me a report for this, or write a paragraph about this. There is prompting, there are other ways, and also prompting is a high career, and they make good money prompting, learning how to prompt AI. Also, incorporating game theory to incentivize student participation. Using AI to teach critical thinking skills, correct way to create prompts and cite sources. It's one thing just to put it in there, but you also have to know how to cite the work. You also have to know how to create the prompts, how to use it to get evidence-based, because that's a part of critical thinking, for your evidence, for your arguments. And so teaching our students to do this. Yes, we teach them how to do it through our books and through our regular means of doing this work, but also teaching them how to do it through technology and the use of technology, right? It's kind of like bringing a pen to a gunfight, right? As the rapper Jay-Z said, you wouldn't bring you want to have the same technology. So if everybody else is using AI, and then you have to run to the library to do your sources, you're gonna be a little later than the other. And you might arrive at the same conclusion, but it certainly is gonna take you a whole lot more, right? So we wanna make sure our students have those. We also wanna make sure they have soft skills, okay? Purposeful partnerships, partner with corporations that wanna create meaningful collaborations, okay? That want to create meaningful partnerships. We know we have to partner with companies that are able to meet our students where they are. We can't partner with companies that want our students to work remotely but aren't willing to provide our students with the means to do that work remotely, right? Maybe they need to provide our students with a laptop or tablet or whatever those means are. We know remote working is on the rise. I know some people don't like it, but remote working is on the rise. It's not going anywhere. Or a hybrid work day. So we have to partner with those and make sure we have those kinds of collaborations. Create career pathways through programs. And this fall and last spring, we created a program called Black Gifted and Dope, where we talked about creating pathways, and we showed our students using technology of different pathways to go for careers. So we were able to bring in people, we were able to have students research different careers that they wanted, that they were looking at, and then we were able to meet them where they were and bring in entrepreneurs. We brought in mental health, and some other aspect I can't think right now, sorry. No, that was the culture, that's another one. Okay. But yeah, so thank you though. But Black Gifted and Dope, we were able to allow them to research those kinds of, and tie those to the different educational programmings that we have here, our different majors, right? So we brought in entrepreneurs, different types of entrepreneurs. We brought in,
Elevator pitch is.
yeah. So we were able to do all of that. And then we have personal branding. That's a good one. We just left a conference, and I don't care as much as I know Mrs. Carpenter worked very hard on making sure we have wonderful business cards, but as much as they are great looking, I didn't use them. I used an app called Blink that was made by Black people to share my information. People just scan my QR code, hit save contact in their phone, and it goes right through there. So we are able to teach our students how to network in a way that whether you have, I'm never gonna leave home without this. I might leave those business cards, but I'll always have, and this was a black owned, and it ties into, tells all my information, it even tells you where you met this person, what day and time, because I'm always, where I meet them at, right? But this tells, and so we're able to tell our students, update them on that. Also, LinkedIn, which is important. Also, social media, how to be on social media. And so there's a quote, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman, right? To look at themselves as not a businessman or woman, but to look at themselves as the business, their personal branding, how they walk into a room. Dr. Woodard absolutely helps them with that, how to walk into a room, how to give their elevator pitches, how to introduce themselves. And though we might not have always, there are different ways to do that. And technology is not replacing everything, because you still need a good handshake, right? To be able to look somebody in the eye. But to couple what we know also with technology to bridge those divides and bridge those gaps so that we prepare our students to have those soft skills and how to leave here ready to get jobs, ready to enter the workforce, ready to open their own businesses, ready to apply for that loan so that they can start their, or talk to funders so that they can start their business, how to examine the market. We had a wonderful competition last academic year with Professor Cox and his organization, and where we did pitching. And our students developed business plans. They reviewed the market. They were able to go in, and they had a whole competition. Those of us who were there, I mean, it was almost like, are these our students? I mean, but again, technology helped them to be able to do that, to bridge the divide, even knowing how to take a headshot, right? That's important. Again, those personal brandings, and how AI can help you with that too. Maybe you can't afford a photographer, but maybe you can use your cell phone, take a nice picture with a solid background, put your picture in AI, it'll touch you up and you'll look like you new money, right? So all the tools that are at their disposal, and it's almost kind of scary, right? You can get catfished out here. You know, it will remove blemishes, make you look 20 years younger, give you a neck if you don't have one, all that good stuff. And so, but how AI is able to work and help you out, okay? And your personal branding. And so, with our personal branding, shucks, sorry guys. Our personal branding, it is able to help us or teach our students how to go in life after college, how to compete in the world. And we live in a global economy, in a global world, and they're not just competing with people who are located in this city or this state, but they are competing with people all over the world. And we know there are tech hubs all throughout the world, some in Asia, other parts, Africa. And so our students have to be able to compete if they're going to be successful, and if we're going to be successful in teaching and guiding our students so that they become these wonderful citizens of the world. And we live up to the mission of American Baptist College, of educating and graduating our students so that they are prepared for life after, so that they can be change agents and leaders of social justice and Christian leaders with a Christian ethic. And so it's incredibly important that we look at technology not as just this kind of side thing or something to do, but that we ingrain it in every aspect of what we do, not just in one aspect of American Baptist College work, in the classroom, but in every aspect, because not only does it make life easier in many ways, but it also helps us to be on up to par with the rest of the world, because the rest of the world is using it. And when we have a chance, we should use it. And it also helps us to be that light in this area, in this tech desert, where there are people who don't have the opportunities to have the access to technology like we do. And so we want to encourage everybody. We have a lit lab, and we're trying to get more down there and do more with it, but to be creative in our thinking, in our classes, how can we ingrain or include technology in this? How do we, in critical thinking, talk them through, how do you use tech? How do you use AI? Because they're using it. Let's be honest, they're using it. They come in here with papers, thou and this, and like, you don't even talk like that, right? So we know they're using it, but how do you use it appropriately? How do you cite it, right? There's a way to cite it. What are we, APA 7? I think so. Yeah, there's a way to cite it now. It was not before. And so it is absolutely crucial. Think of ways to, how can we include storytelling? If we're doing storytelling, well, podcasting is a great way to tell a story, right? There's this new wave of media. You don't have to go to school to be a journalist now. Traditional journalist school, right? Everybody, Club Shay Shay. But when he did his interview with Cat Williams, I think before it was up 2 hours, it had 3 or 4 million views. Now, I love Barbara Walters, but I don't think she ever did them kind of numbers, right? So you think about, there's this new way of media. And so we want our students to know that they too can tell stories, and they can also do this justice work. How do you organize quickly? Hashtags, right? If we put this hashtag out here, if we look at the algorithms, we can get a message out about, hey, we're meeting at Public Square and we're marching down here, or what have you, or here's the issue. This storytelling, how do we know about what's happening in Palestine and Gaza? Because people are telling their stories and doing it through social media. And we're not necessarily waiting on traditional news anchors to get our news. As Dr. Hildreth said, most of us don't have cable. I don't have cable. I don't know what Leland's talking about the weather is going to be. But I do know on my cell phone, I check it every day. So again, getting our students prepared for life after ABC. And not just our students, but getting our community and ourselves prepared for life, and living into the truth that technology has always been here. It always will be here. And it's up to us how we embrace it, or if we don't, or we reject it. I don't know how long we're supposed to go. Is there time for questions?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Sorry, I don't know. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I'd be curious what you're hearing from students about their priorities. Like, what are they most concerned about? I mean, I know this is in response to them, but like when you're sitting and talking with them or working with them in the gaming room, like what is of most interest to them, either economically or in terms of their own growth and development, in terms of other aspects of what they're thinking about that might fall off the table, you know, like that we might not hear about in a classroom, for instance.
So one of the things that we did address, and this is being like having hands-on with our students, is the reality that there are students that we have here who, without ABC, they would be in a major deficit, like just lack in terms of the basic needs. And so when we think about how can we not only be a space that provides some of those needs for them to help them, equip them to be as successful as possible, but what does it mean to then empower them to do the same thing for the communities? I know for sure that is a real issue for a lot of them, and it's the driving force that even has them here in the first place, that you have these first generation college students who are here trying to go back and impact their communities and their families on a large level. More specifically in terms of gaming, just being honest and being transparent, it starts out as recreation.
Yeah.
It's just excitement. This is something that is fun, which then becomes the open door for us, right? Because it's not received as an assignment or a task or something that someone is doing. It's just something that we're having fun doing. But as we are guiding them and showing them, hey, this thing that is fun can actually be used as a tool to address these issues, is when the light bulb starts turning on for them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think most of it is their well-being, right? Life after here, careers, where will happen after they leave these doors. But like Dr. T said, I think the important is knowing when they start realizing that, hey, there's a possibility you know, light bulb clicks. Hey, if I get, 1 million views on YouTube, YouTube will send me a check. Or even, I've got to make, we're working on their video. They made a video the other night in Friday Night Lights. They did some reels with iPads, and they did reels on, I don't know if you all know the trend. It's a trend on TikTok. It's like for me, oh, of course, I work at ABC. Of course of course I go to chapel on Tuesday nights. Of course, you know, and they did a whole video like that. And they did 2 of them. So again, the creativity and how they see this impacting. So they're like, well, you know, if we get this out, then more students will want to come to ABC, right? So when they connect the dots, I think they see that they can fix their own problems, right? And which is some of them say that. They feel like they can be change agents in their own. They can be the answers to some of their own prayers. And I think that's some of the things that we like to see as those faculty and staff in their life, that they have agency within this as well. And so they're excited about the possibility of doing more technology. It also helps, I would say, just on a personal note, I'm a parent of 2 second graders. I was just at their school this morning. My kids aren't learning with books. They go in class with an iPad. So if they're learning like this, on that level, then I think it's a bit of a push to expect students to now come to college and sit in a 3-hour lecture, right? With no interactiveness, with no technology. Yes, I believe in lectures, but we also have to kind of mix it up too, right? Obviously, second grade and college are a bit of a difference. But again, if this is how they're conditioned to learning, then we certainly need to take that into account in some of our planning and our course designs.
So in light of the consideration, if you will, of democratizing technology or social media, you guys as ABC faculty, what is it that you see or have been considering that ABC leadership, senior management, what do we need to know to help make sure that ABC, the institution, is doing its part in digital justice and doing our part in democratizing technology?
I'll start. And then I'll let you go. I think one of the things that we do a great job at doing justice work at ABC. But I don't know if we look at digital justice as a work we should be entering into. And I think once we recognize that this is work, and it's work that we can absolutely be a part of by being more informed, by actually placing resources in that area, and whether those resources are money or whether they are connections or what have you, whatever the resources we have, we can absolutely be a leader in this. And I think from the exposure we've been on with LIT, there's no, I would say we haven't seen any community that's dedicated to this work of justice as far as an HBCU, like we can be. And I think it can be a continuation of our story and of our work in justice as an ABC community. And so I think if senior management is able to reimagine this justice work and think of it as not just, oh, they need computers, but also how this is the way to the future. It is the pathway to our students becoming marketable in the job market. It's the pathway to us providing equitable services in our community. It's the pathway for us serving our community and being bigger than ourselves. And it is the pathway to innovation and also the future of education.
Yeah. I would add to that, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to frame it. So, and this might sound a bit contradictory, particularly how I just answered your question, Dr. Overton. Although it is, or it begins recreationally and with this excitement, we can't categorize tech as just recreation. And I think that that is the idea with a lot of people who are not involved. It's just, oh, they're just having fun. That's just what kids are doing, and you know, just let them have it. When it's bigger than it. Like the gaming industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. There are gamers who are literally just playing games who are making 6 and 7 figures. Like, wrap your mind around that.
And all of us with all of our degrees, right?
Yeah. They're making that amount of money just playing games, right? And so it's bigger than just the recreational piece and just, oh, we get a new laptop or a new TV or whatever. It really has to be infused within the very fabric of our institution. And to that end, I would say one of the things that we really have to be committed to is digitizing everything. At the bare minimum, everything must be digitized. It makes things easier, more accessible. We're able to keep up with data, track data in a better way. And for us, as I'm saying this next one, let me celebrate the fact, because I've been here for a while, that we have made great strides. We are much better now than what we were when I first got here. But we have to continue on that trajectory, right? With being intentional about equipping our students at very best with as much technology as possible. So if we're looking at second graders who have iPads, why don't our college students have them? You know?
That was gonna be my question
Yeah.
connected to yours. If, God forbid, COVID should happen again and we have to be shut down, how ready is ABC to deliver what you all are presenting today?
I'm not, I think that might be above my pay grade. So I'm not certain how ready ABC is, and I think that's telling within itself. Like the fact that we can't say exactly how ready, because I think we should all know how ready we are. I mean, we had a snowstorm, and we were able to pivot during that snowstorm and academics, and we had class. But still, there's some room for improvement. And I think, are we totally digitalized? Absolutely not. And I would say with Dr. Overton, Dr. Dickerson, working with tutoring, one of my biggest things is to have online tutoring, not just the writing lab, but so that we have equitable services, because we know the community we serve. Some of our students can't be here during the day to get tutoring, or they can't be here during the night to get tutoring. And so not only does technology provide us with some of the recreational, but it also is imperative and an essential part of education. And we have to look at it as that. Like, it is not either or sprinkle a little bit in there and it's done. We can't play like the hokey pokey with technology. We gotta be all the way in. Yeah.
And I'll add, since we're just having this conversation, we should consider our students having access to Microsoft Office. We should consider
Grammarly.
Our students having access to Grammarly. These are base foundational things that institutions are giving to their students that are setting them, above
And I would
everyone
say,
else.
back to Dr. Dickerson's point, or question rather, was that what would we like senior management to know? Sometimes when we suggest things, we might be looking at it from a different vantage point. Because I know Dr. Dickerson has suggested that we have kind of a student success suite that we give to our students, digitalized, where it includes Grammarly and Microsoft Office, and I think Adobe, wasn't that also?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where that process is, but those kinds of things, those are givens at other institutions. There's no, those are just, you sign up, you register, you have access to these. And so how do we expect our students to give us papers, and we're not supplying them with the common tool, which is Microsoft Word, to write and type those papers?
Yeah.
And we'd all be mad if they came in here with a handwritten paper, right? But again, we can't be too mad because we haven't given them what they need to be able to do that. I don't even know how much it is to buy those suites anymore, like personally, but I'm sure we're looking at like $200 and up.
Yeah.
So if we expect do we expect our students to buy those? So again, I would say if we're gonna do SEAL, let's do SEAL. That all the way around. Let's not stop at SEAL when it's comfortable or stop at SEAL in some areas. We like to do SEAL all the way around. And I think particularly about our students and being able to give them the tools that they need to go out here and succeed. We can't expect them to have a resume if we haven't shown them how to do a resume. We can't expect them to know where to put commas at if we haven't taught them how to put commas or giving them the tools to. So Grammarly is a fantastic tool. I use it all the time. Every day. It's on my cell phone. I don't even, if I want to send a text message, I can put Grammarly in here. And so again, we have to, we got to be about it. I guess that's the long and short of it. We got to be about and be who we say we are and who we claim to be in every aspect. And I think we produce better scholars. We become better as an institution. And I think the community at large, the human community, becomes better because we're putting these change, or we're sending these change agents out who are well equipped into the world. And not just equipped in thought, but also equipped in technology and equipped to get into the workplace. Uh-oh.
Well, we have time for one more question.
Uh-oh.
Dr. Hill, you gonna end us?
Uh-oh.
Thank you so much for this presentation, and right up the alley that we need to be. And I'm hearing a lot about technology. Its sister, data.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about what your work and experience, both field work and scholarly work, is telling us about where we need to be and go with teaching data competence and moving into the justice sector and vector of data sovereignty? If the definition of sovereignty is being able to exercise power and control over a thing, how do we exercise power and control over our intellectual, labor, and cultural capital? That is data. That can be scraping stories, that can be scraping those heart metrics you speak about, Ms. Carpenter, with what my blood pressure is doing right now. How do we maintain sovereignty, and is this something to teach, and where are we with that?
So I think data is a way of telling a story. And if we don't own our story, somebody else will tell our story for us. And so I think one of the ways we try and preach data to our students coming in the door, I always tell them keep their own stats, right? If you got an A in this class, in this, blah, blah, blah. That is a way of collecting data within itself. Very simplified, very, very simplified. But to know data, collecting data, looking at data through their classes, looking at data collection. I think one of the things with, in an institution like American Baptist College, we're used to religious, and so sometimes we don't think of data as a part of Christian ethics until it's like, you stole my sermon, right? Because everybody wants their intellectual property, and so we have to look at it as in that way. And that is a way of collecting data, right? I've also thought of ways, and we kind of softball, because Lily had a grant about, what was it about? Keeping, what do you call it? Collecting sermon, black preaching, right? Because there's no institution as a whole that is doing this work. Archiving black preaching, thank you, right? And what a way, we are American Baptist College, to archive our stories, right? And Director Pridgeon is doing a yeoman's task in archiving and collecting certain metrics of our data, of our story. But I do think we do have to get into data more as an institution. That team does a great job, but we've got to continue to expand upon our data collection and expand upon who we are. I will say this, my dad, who is 70, he'll be 71 this month. He came to GNL as an alumni, and he said, when we were leaving, we're in the car, and he's like, well, nobody got a survey from me.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody collected my information. 71, he's almost 71. And you kind of think about what are the points, I think, so the first thing is like figuring out where we're missing data, right? Where those holes are. because that's a telling story too. Where are we missing data? And thinking about everything as a point to receive data, as an entry point for data. So we should be having not just surveys for when students finish coursework, but data about what's going on in the cafeteria, data about the lit lab. Is it too cold? Is it too hot? Is it too dark? Is it too, are the hours right? Data about our students' food needs. Not just here in the flame, but also away. Do they have food? Data helps us tell a story. Mental health awareness. And it also helps us to know where we need to be instead of kind of shooting in the dark. Gosh, I gotta do better analogies. Instead of, just kind of figuring it out, now we have data to prove. It's evidence, right? We were just talking about this in critical thinking. We need evidence. Evidence proves. It's how do we know what we know? We might be right, but how do we know it? And so data helps us prove that. And certainly we need more black folk collecting data and telling the story of data. And so it is incredibly important, again, because I know data is a storytelling agent. If we're not collecting, if we're not keeping our own data, then somebody else is going to tell our story. And they're going to tell it how they want to tell it. And also data is important. I mean, we know about getting grants, right? We know about, you need data. Data is important in every aspect, and we have to teach our students, those who want to be practitioners of Christianity, preachers, pastors, those who want to be entrepreneurs. How will you know, again with Pitch It, how will you know what the market is? Is it oversaturated? Is it undersaturated? Is there a need? How many people live in this area? All that relies on data, and so it's important, and also it's important for us to not only be suppliers of data, but also be keepers of our data. Yes, ma'am.
It sounds like a syllabus, if not a major, so thank you.
If I could add two more things to that, and because I envision this space being a top tier research institution, and if we are daring to imagine ourselves in that way, we have to prioritize data. I mean,
we got to do it now before we get there.
Yeah, we have to do it now. And I mean, if you've gone through a doctoral program, everything is driven by that. I don't care about how you imagine and stuff. If it's in the data. But then secondly, tying it back to technology, all of the tech is driven by data. Coding is about data.
And it collects data.
It collects data.
Right.
Even when we think about social media, right? The algorithms of social media, it is all driven by data.
Likes.
Yep.
So do we teach that in Gen Ed? I mean, that's actually the question, and we're just putting questions into the well and not asking for answers. But I think that that's part of the tension that has to be here.
I was also saying, I think we kind of threw this out when we were at the conference. Even, I know our traditional application process is like write an essay. But what if we looked at, and you just softball, this is not, okay, just what if we threw out a computer competency? Like how because in ABC, you gotta be on Canva to submit an assignment, right? So like, what if we just looked at that, right? And we started looking at the data of where our students are, because student success, we do the exit interviews. There's nothing in there about their competencies with technology when they leave here or when they get here, right? So just kind of looking at what we're able, so yeah, we had a lot of, sorry, I went off on a tear. Sorry, so sorry.
You were inspired.
I'm sorry.
You were
sorry.
inspired.
So sorry, guys.
Thank you.
Oh wow, thank you so much. Again, happy birthday, ABC. We are celebrating 100 years, and that is phenomenal. 100 years as an institution in higher education, educating folk. And so we've had a faithful past, but we're looking to thrive in the future.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I always talk about is how do we pull that plumb line from the past and into the future of ABC. And our faculty has given us one of those plumb lines, and it definitely is indeed in technology, and so we're grateful for that. And so I want to thank you. This ends our first Lunch and Learn, and so thank you for attending. Look out for what we may have coming next month. All right, thank you.